What to do, YouTube? MJM for Life here, and this is the continuation of my Zebstrika video. In the previous video, we talked about Smogan and what Smogan has to say about Zebstrika, the standard Smogan moveset, and what Smogan thinks are Zebstrika's checks and counters. And we also talked about how Smogan just disrespects my nigga Zebstrika, and I'm not standing for it any longer. So without further ado, let's get into how you really use Zebstrika. So this moveset is going to be for the NU-RU tiers. The item's going to be Life Orb, Naive Nature, 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed. And the ability is going to be Motor Drive. Now the moves are Toxic, Overheat, Double Kick, and Wild Charge. Now first I'll explain this Overheat and Double Kick combo. Now these two moves here are basically to handle any steel type in the NU-RU environment. Overheat is obviously for the pure steel types, and Double Kick is for those rock steel types like Aggron, Bastiodon, Probopass. With these two moves, Zebstrika is not fucking around with the steel types. Steel types do not want it with Zebstrika. Don't even think you can switch in safely. Wild Charge is here obviously as the strongest stab physical move. You can also run Spark if you don't like the recoil, but I wouldn't advise it because in my opinion it's silly. And Wild Charge is also here because a lot of Pokemon switch into Zebstrika are special walls. So Wild Charge is there to hit them for their weaker defense, and a lot of the special walls that Smogan said counter Zebstrika, i.e. Altaria and Audino, do not want to take 2 Wild Charges after Stealth Rocks, especially not Altaria. And so that's where the standard Smogan moveset will come to play into our advantage if we're using this moveset, because people see Zebstrika and they normally think special, Life Orb, or specs, and we're not special Life Orb, and we're not specs, and Wild Charge is going to hit those special walls extremely hard. Now Toxic is here. First of all, I don't understand why people don't run Toxic on offensive Pokemon more, because most of the time the things that switch into your offensive Pokemon or your offensive sweepers are going to be bulky walls, and nothing breaks down bulky walls better than Toxic. And this is and a perfect example would be like a Scarfed Heracross. Scarfed Heracross normally carry Close Combat Megahorn, Earthquake, or Pursuit, and Stone Edge. Now Stone Edge hits Zapdoses, which is a main Heracross counter, and Earthquake hits like Needle Queen, Needle King, and Quillfish. Now, that Heracross moveset is completely walled by any bulky ghost type. And it's walled by other types as well, but mainly bulky ghosts can just come in, take whatever Heracross has to dish out, and just force it to switch. Now, if you ran Toxic on a Scarfed Heracross, that serves 2 purposes. One, it breaks down those bulky ghosts that switch into Heracross. And 2, it may even trick your opponent into thinking that you may not be Scarfed, because like normal people would think, who runs Toxic on a Scarfed Heracross? So that also may cause them to misplay and stay in on a Pokemon that normally they wouldn't stay in on if they thought your Heracross was Scarfed. So that plays 2 Toxic on Heracross, on a Scarfed Heracross, serves 2 roles here. The same way this Toxic serves that similar role on this Zebstrika. This is here to basically anything else that Zebstrika can't handle, just Toxic it. For example, Quagsire, I almost said Quagmire, Quagsire, Whiscash, pretty much any rock ground type, or ground type, that's basically what you're going to be toxicking. I mean, you could also toxic those normal type walls that want to switch into you, Licky, and Miltank, especially. But the problem with that is that they typically run Heal Bell. But the thing is that when you toxic them, you will almost force them to Heal Bell, so you can get off a Double Kick or 2 while they're Heal Belling. So, you know, when you toxic them on a switch in, that's basically 2 free turns to Double Kick, because when you toxic them, they're going to be kind of forced into Heal Belling. So you can Double Kick, predicting that Heal Bell, and then Double Kick again. So Toxic serves multiple purposes on this Zebstrika, and it just rounds off everything. Now, those rock and ground types, you're probably not going to want to stay in. After you toxic them, you're probably going to have to switch out. But this is so that they can't keep switching in onto your Zebstrika, and they're gonna be, and you can just switch out once you toxic them into the appropriate counter, and they won't be living very long. So that's the NU tier, NURU tier version of Zebstrika. Motor Drive is there because you don't really need lightning rods, that you obviously don't have any. Well, you have one special attack, but that's really just a coverage attack. So Motor Drive is the better option for the ability. Now let's move on to the next Zebstrika. This one is the UU tier version of Zebstrika, similar to the UURU tier Zebstrika, but the difference is now we're going to opt for Hidden Power Grass instead of Double Kick, mainly because you don't really need Double Kick. In the UU tier, there aren't that many steals that aren't hit by Overheat. I think Empoleon is one, but obviously that's a water type, so you can just wild charge that thing. Hidden Power Grass is for, those bulky ground types in the UU tier, Swampert and Rhyperior mainly. Those are going to be the main offenders. You could and then Toxic is the same. Toxic is more for the same reason it was in the NURU Zebstrika set. Toxic is for, and UU mainly for like Gligar or even Raikou, Pokemon that can pretty much switch into any of these moves and not really care. You just Toxic them. Raikou is definitely going to be hurt by Toxic because especially if it's the sub Calm Mind version, because that lowers its sweeping capabilities if it's Toxic and has to worry about residual damage each turn, and as well as Gligar is definitely do not like Toxic. So like Toxic is pretty much the perfect move to round off these Zebstrika sets, or pretty much any Zebstrika set that's not a pure special attacker. And the ability should once again be Motor Drive for this set, because though you have more special attacks on this set than on the NURU set, you're still mainly a physical attacker, so Motor Drive would be better. Now, let's go into the OU moveset, which, now this moveset does not sport Toxic, but you'll notice that for the OU environment, you don't really need Toxic. This is going to, again, be a max physical attack, max speed, but the hidden power is going to be Ice. And as I've said before, in my other videos, any fighting Pokemon that's in OU needs hidden power Ice, are pretty much any Pokemon that doesn't have an Ice move in its moveset needs Hidden Power Ice. Because there's so many dragons and ground flying types. Well, by so many, I can think of two, but there's so many dragons and ground flying types combined that you need Hidden Power Ice to hit those things. So this is going to hit Landorus, Gliscor, Latios, Haxorus, Salamence, Dragonite. All of those are going to be outsped by Zebstrika. 1, 2 are not going to want to take Hidden Power Ices after Stealth Rocks. Now, Latios can probably take a couple just because it's not, and Haxorus as well, because they're not part flying, but they're still not going to want to take that, and they can't switch in twice to Zebstrika. And they'll probably be wary of switching in once they know you have the Hidden Power Ice. So, now, Wild Charge is obvious, and Overheat is obvious. Now, Double Kick in the OU tier is mainly for Heatrans, and also mainly for, well, actually, now that I think about it, Wild Charge does more than neutral Wild Charge does more than a super effective Double Kick. That's ×1. So Double Kick is actually mainly going to be for what's that thing? Tyranitar. Yeah, there we go. Tyranitar. Anything that is 4 times weak to fighting in the OU tier, this Double Kick is for it. It's mainly for Tyranitar, so because Tyranitar is pretty bulky in general, so it can take all these moves pretty well, except for Double Kick. So Double Kick is mainly for Tyranitar. Now you could run Toxic, but on this set as well, but I think actually Double Kick is better overall, because I can't really think of anything that in OU that can't be hit, that would rather be hit by Toxic than any one of these moves. Yeah, I can't think of anything. So yeah, this is so these 3 movesets are really how Zebstrika should be used. The Specs Life Orb moveset is not a bad moveset, but I think this, first of all, to say that it's physical move pool, that it doesn't have any physical moves or a physical set can't be used is stupid, because obviously this is a physical set, this is a physical set, and this is a physical set, and they're all extremely effective in each of the environments that they're made for. So the specs life orb special attacking set is pretty good, but I think these sets are just as good, if not in some cases, in some areas, better. So that's going to do it for this portion of the Zebstrika video. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to cut it short here. The next portion of the video, the third and final portion, will feature novelty Zebstrika movesets that I've come up with. So until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, like, deuces.